Meanwhile, Argentina's Football Association have announced a national day of celebration to mark their World Cup semi-final win over England. The Three Lions took the lead through Anthony Gordon before falling to goals from Enzo Fernandez and Lautaro Martinez. Argentina will now hold what they're calling National Football Teams Day on the 15th of July to mark an historic milestone for the national team.
What started as another massive World Cup showdown quickly turned into something much bigger across Argentina. The dramatic victory over England did not stay on the pitch for long. Celebrations spread across the country, old history came rushing back into the conversation, and the match soon carried political meaning for some supporters and commentators. Now, Argentina has taken things even further by creating a new national football observance connected to that unforgettable night.
Argentina's Football Association has announced a special day to mark their victory over England in the World Cup semi-final. From next year, the 15th of July will be known as National Football Teams Day. The Argentine FA said the day will honour all its national sides, as well as the great and historic victory over England when Argentina scored 2 late goals to win 2-1. They went on to lose the World Cup final to Spain. After the England win, some Argentina players celebrated while holding a banner that translated to "The Falklands are Argentine." It was in reference to the Falkland Islands, which remained the subject of a sovereignty dispute between the UK and Argentina after the war happened in 1982.
The Argentine Football Association, AFA, announced that July 15 will become National Football Teams Day, marking Argentina's semi-final victory over England during this summer's World Cup. It was already one of the wildest games of the tournament, but the way Argentina pulled it off made the moment hit even harder. England had been leading before Argentina flipped the whole situation late in Atlanta, winning 2-1 in a comeback that stunned the crowd. Lionel Messi played a major role, recording 2 assists as Enzo Fernandez and Lautaro Martinez delivered the decisive goals in the 85th and 92nd minutes.
It's the second time the country's FA has introduced a special day after a football match against England. The first is June 22nd, or the Day of the Argentine Footballer, which marks Maradona's legendary performance during the 1986 World Cup quarter-final, in which he scored both the Hand of God and the goal of the century. Interestingly though, they don't have days to mark the anniversaries of their 3 World Cup wins.
Those late strikes sent Argentina into their second consecutive World Cup final and turned July 15 into a date the AFA now wants permanently linked with the national teams. But the story did not end with football. The result also revived discussion in Argentina surrounding the Falkland Islands, known there as Las Malvinas. Some celebrations and public commentary connected the victory over England with Argentina's long-standing sovereignty claim over the islands, giving an already heated football rivalry another layer. Britain has administered the Falkland Islands since 1833, while Argentina continues to claim sovereignty over them, making the political backdrop far more complicated than the scoreline alone. Then came an image that pushed the celebration way beyond football. After the final whistle, players celebrated with a banner that read, "Las Malvinas son Argentinas," which translates to, "The Falkland Islands are Argentinian." That message immediately added a political edge to an already emotional night, linking the World Cup victory with a sovereignty dispute that has remained deeply sensitive for generations. July 15 was chosen to commemorate Argentina's dramatic World Cup semi-final victory over England. Lionel Scaloni's team had been trailing the English side by a single goal, and with time quickly running out, things were looking rough. Then, the whole match flipped. Enzo Fernandez struck in the 85th minute before Lautaro Martinez scored again in the 92nd, completing a 2-1 comeback that sent celebrations across Argentina into overdrive. Lionel Messi was right in the middle of the action as well, recording 2 assists during the late turnaround. But this new tribute is not being presented as recognition of only one achievement by the senior national team. The semi-final became wrapped up in something much deeper, with some Argentinians viewing the victory over England through a political and historical lens as well. For those supporters, the win became another moment to highlight Argentina's long-standing claim to the Falkland Islands, known in Argentina as Las Malvinas. That turned a huge football comeback into a much bigger talking point, mixing sport, national identity, history, and a continuing sovereignty dispute into one explosive night. And this new recognition reaches far beyond the famous names playing under the brightest World Cup lights. It extends across Argentina's entire national team setup, including the youth sides, men's and women's teams, futsal, beach soccer, and field football. These players train day after day at the Lionel Andres Messi training complex, carrying the hope, excitement, and serious responsibility that comes with putting on Argentina's colors. But while celebrations were booming back home, the banner created a completely different reaction in the UK. Its appearance sparked fierce criticism, and former Prime Minister Keir Starmer responded with a firm message, insisting that while the World Cup might not be ours, the Falkland Islands definitely are. He also stressed that self-determination rests with the islanders and that Britain's commitment to the Falklands will never waver. That is where the situation became even more heated. FIFA rules prohibit political messaging at the World Cup, meaning the banner was no longer simply being debated by fans and politicians. Starmer called for the incident to be investigated, and FIFA later confirmed that an investigation had been opened into the matter. Argentina's president, Javier Milei, however, backed the players' celebration. He described the display of the banner as perfectly valid and said its message reflects a sentiment shared by all Argentines. With British officials criticizing the display and Argentina's president defending it, the controversy quickly grew beyond a post-match celebration and became another flashpoint surrounding the long-running Falkland Islands, or Las Malvinas, sovereignty dispute. Even with Argentina's leadership standing behind the controversial banner, there was already an expectation that FIFA could respond with a financial penalty. The AFA appeared prepared for that possibility, but the mood inside Argentine football remained defiant after the dramatic run through the tournament. I know that for Argentinians, we won the World Cup the moment we beat England because that's really what everyone wanted, AFA President Claudio Tapia said during the recent AFA Sponsor Day. His comments showed just how much weight that semi-final carried back home, where beating England became an emotional moment that, for some supporters, felt almost as significant as lifting the trophy itself. Tapia added, "We are proud of our national team's performance and of the fact that they created that sense of epic invincibility that nobody could beat us. But that feeling of invincibility eventually crashed into reality against Spain, and the fallout did not stop when the final whistle blew." FIFA also opened disciplinary proceedings involving Argentina players Leandro Paredes and Nahuel Molina, along with Argentina coach Roberto Ayala, following allegations of assault connected to the chaotic scenes surrounding the World Cup final against Spain. Argentina had suffered a painful 1-0 defeat after extra time, but what happened afterward quickly became another major controversy. The post-match scenes included physical confrontations between players from the two sides. One particularly heated incident involved Paredes throwing Spain's Gavi to the ground, adding another serious issue for Argentina to deal with after a tournament already packed with drama, political arguments, and disciplinary scrutiny. But Argentina's 1-0 defeat to Spain after extra time was only the beginning of the final night drama. Once the match ended, celebrations and frustration spilled into chaotic confrontations between members of both teams, and several incidents are now at the center of FIFA disciplinary proceedings. The allegations are serious, although they remain allegations while the disciplinary process runs its course. According to the allegations, Spain captain Rodri was struck by Molina while attempting to celebrate with his teammates, while Dani Olmo was allegedly punched by Argentina coach Roberto Ayala. Paredes was also accused of attacking Eric Garcia by grabbing him around the neck. The confrontation then escalated further when Paredes, reportedly with help from teammate Thiago Almada, threw unused Spanish substitute Gavi to the ground. Paredes now faces 3 counts of assault, while Molina faces 2 counts, including 1 completed and 1 attempted. Ayala has been charged with 1 count. The disciplinary case stretches even wider, with Thiago Almada and Spanish midfielder Gavi also charged with unsporting behavior over their alleged roles in the post-match brawl. And FIFA's scrutiny of Argentina is not limited to what happened after the final. Its investigation covers a wider list of potential rule breaches during several Argentina matches at the World Cup, including allegations involving discriminatory chants and gestures, delayed kickoffs, failures to follow match and security protocols, inappropriate messages displayed by the team and spectators, and objects being thrown from the stands. What began as an extraordinary what started as a series of heated moments has now turned into a much bigger disciplinary story surrounding Argentina. FIFA has confirmed bans connected to the conduct of several Argentina players, along with a member of the coaching staff. This is no longer just talk about investigations or cases that could disappear behind closed doors. According to the disciplinary action being discussed, multiple people are now facing suspensions from international football, and the scale of it is raising serious questions. Once the minimum suspensions are added together, the number of international matches potentially being missed becomes hard to ignore. The controversy also stretches beyond one incident. Attention has been placed on events surrounding the final, the banner controversy after the semi-final, and other conduct during the tournament. Instead of one messy night dominating the headlines, FIFA's disciplinary response appears to cover incidents from different stages of Argentina's World Cup campaign. But there is another twist here, because some of the decisions are already looking controversial. One person facing disciplinary action was reportedly also attacked during the confrontation. That detail makes the situation far less straightforward and has people questioning how FIFA decided who should be punished and how responsibility was divided between those involved. At the same time, people who wanted FIFA to take the incident seriously finally have concrete disciplinary decisions to examine. Some punishments are significantly heavier than others, and the reasons behind them matter. So we need to break down every person involved, what FIFA says they did, and exactly what punishment they are facing, starting with the individual dealing with the most serious consequences. Leandro Paredes is where this disciplinary case gets especially serious. We already went deep into his situation, but if you missed that breakdown, the charge sheet alone shows exactly why his name is getting so much attention. FIFA lists 3 counts of assault under Article 14 of its disciplinary code, alongside one separate count of unsporting behavior. That means 4 charges in total, and each allegation relates to a specific moment. Count 1 involves grabbing Eric Garcia by the neck, an incident FIFA's prosecutor described as a chokehold. Count 2 concerns bringing Gavi to the ground and holding him by the collar. Then comes Count 3, pushing Gavi in the face while he was already on the floor. These are separate allegations in the disciplinary case, rather than FIFA treating the confrontation as one single incident. Under FIFA's disciplinary code, each assault charge carries a minimum 3-match suspension. If that minimum applies separately to all 3 counts, that would mean 9 matches. The additional unsporting behavior charge could add another match, potentially bringing the minimum total to 10 international matches. And that is before any further factors are considered, because FIFA's handling of this case appears to contain another major twist. Normally, a FIFA disciplinary investigation stays locked onto the tournament in question. Officials review what happened, who was involved, what the available footage shows, and whether the disciplinary code was breached. But this case is being presented as something much wider. Reports around the investigation say FIFA is looking at earlier incidents and previous tournaments, while examining whether there is a broader pattern connected to Paredes. And social media has turned into a massive archive. Since July 19th, old clips involving Paredes have been circulating again, with fans digging through past matches, reposting footage, and putting previous confrontations back under the spotlight. That does not automatically make every old clip part of FIFA's formal evidence, but the renewed attention has made his disciplinary history impossible to ignore. Among the moments being brought back up is his confrontation involving the Netherlands bench at the 2022 World Cup. Other clips from his club career have also resurfaced, while a more recent Boca Juniors incident has added another layer to the conversation after footage showed him kicking a dead ball toward an opponent. Each incident still has to be judged on its own facts, rather than automatically being treated as proof of misconduct in another match. So the potential 10-match calculation from the current charges is only one part of the story. The bigger question is whether FIFA formally considers any previous disciplinary history when deciding the final sanction, because that could make the consequences considerably more serious. And that means the final punishment could climb well beyond the number currently being discussed. For Paredes, the potential 10-match minimum comes from the charges tied to one confrontation after one match. But his case is only part of this disciplinary mess. Next comes Nahuel Molina, and his alleged role in how the confrontation began deserves much more attention. According to the account behind the charges, Molina was involved in the opening flashpoint. As Spain captain Rodri ran past to celebrate with his teammates, Molina allegedly struck him in the stomach. Rodri then stopped and turned around, and the situation developed into another face-to-face confrontation between the two players. FIFA's disciplinary case reportedly treats these as separate actions rather than one continuous incident. That distinction could seriously affect Molina's punishment. He has reportedly been charged with 2 assault-related counts, 1 completed and 1 attempted, along with 1 count of unsporting behavior. That makes 3 charges in total. If the stated minimum 3-match suspension applies to each assault-related charge, those 2 counts alone could produce 6 matches. Add another potential match for unsporting behavior, and Molina could be looking at a 7-match minimum based on that calculation. And suddenly, the scale of Argentina's disciplinary situation gets even bigger. 7 matches is the potential minimum being discussed for Molina, and the circumstances make the story even more awkward. The allegation is that he struck Spain captain Rodri as Rodri was running to celebrate a World Cup victory with his teammates, moments after Argentina had suffered the biggest possible defeat. That alone puts Molina right in the middle of one of the ugliest moments surrounding the final. Then there is the Atletico Madrid angle. Molina has to return to a club based in the Spanish capital, where Spain's World Cup victory would still be fresh in everyone's mind. He could be walking back into pre-season, surrounded by Spanish teammates, while this FIFA disciplinary case remains hanging over him. Whatever happens behind those training ground doors, that has the potential to create an incredibly uncomfortable atmosphere. But the next case is different, because this time we are not talking about a player caught up in the chaos. We are talking about Argentina assistant coach Roberto Ayala, a member of the management staff who is expected to help control situations when emotions explode. That is why the allegation against Ayala stands out. Coaches are supposed to help calm players, keep order, and stop a heated confrontation from getting worse. Instead, footage from after the final whistle reportedly shows Ayala striking Dani Olmo during the post-match confrontation. FIFA's disciplinary process will determine exactly how that incident is classified, but the fact that a member of the coaching staff became directly involved makes this case especially serious. And now, Ayala's situation gets even more complicated. FIFA reportedly charged him with 1 count of assault, carrying a minimum 3-match touchline ban. Under that sanction, he could be barred from the technical area and potentially face additional restrictions around Argentina matches depending on the final disciplinary ruling. But what really pushed this story into another level was Ayala's response afterward. He released an apology, but in that same statement he argued that the contact was more of a push than a punch, and claimed Olmo had verbally provoked him. So instead of the apology ending the controversy, it opened up another argument over what actually happened. Then, Dani Olmo responded publicly with 2 words: he's lying. Olmo did not leave it there either, adding, "What defines us is not the mistake, but the courage to accept everything with humility, sincerity, and dignity." That was a sharp public response from the player involved, directly challenging Ayala's version of events and turning what could have remained an internal disciplinary matter into a very public dispute. For a coach whose role includes keeping control when emotions are running wild, even a minimum 3-match touchline ban would be a serious consequence. FIFA's disciplinary decision now matters more than the back-and-forth statements, because the evidence and formal ruling will determine exactly where responsibility lands. Then we get to Thiago Almada. His alleged involvement has received far less attention than Paredes, Molina, or Ayala, but he has reportedly been charged with 1 count of unsporting behavior. That carries a potential minimum 1-match suspension, with a formal warning also possible depending on FIFA's final decision. Thiago Almada's case sits in a very different category from the accusations involving Paredes and Molina. Footage reportedly shows Almada caught up in the wider confrontation, surrounded by the pushing, shouting, and general chaos, but without the same specific alleged physical acts that appear in the more serious cases. His charge reflects that difference. 1 count of unsporting behavior, with a possible minimum 1-match suspension, or potentially a warning depending on FIFA's final ruling. He may not be the biggest name in this disciplinary story, but his inclusion still matters. It means yet another Argentina player has been pulled into the fallout from everything that happened after the final whistle. Almada will also eventually return to his club, carrying the attention that comes with being formally involved in a FIFA disciplinary case connected to a World Cup final. But now we reach easily one of the strangest twists in the entire case. Gavi. Yes, the same Gavi who was directly involved in one of the most heated moments of the confrontation. Barcelona midfielder Gavi has reportedly been charged with 1 count of unsporting behavior, potentially carrying a minimum 1-match suspension. And that immediately raises eyebrows when you remember what happened during the clash. According to the allegations against Paredes, he brought Gavi to the ground, held him by the collar, and then pushed him in the face while Gavi was already down. Yet despite being on the receiving end of those alleged actions, Gavi himself is now also facing disciplinary scrutiny. And this is exactly why Gavi's charge has become such a controversial part of the story. In the disciplinary case against Paredes, Gavi is described as being on the receiving end of several separate alleged actions. He was brought to the ground, held by the collar, and then pushed in the face while already down. FIFA reviewed the footage and examined what happened during that chaotic confrontation. Yet, after reviewing the wider incident, FIFA reportedly decided Gavi's own conduct also deserves scrutiny. In effect, the message was, actually, we have something for you too. He has reportedly been hit with 1 count of unsporting behavior, potentially carrying a 1-match suspension. And the optics are messy. Gavi can be the target of alleged misconduct and still be punished if FIFA believes his own response separately crossed the disciplinary line. Those two things are not automatically contradictory under the rules. But when you put the potential punishments side by side, people are obviously going to ask questions. Paredes could be looking at a minimum of 10 matches based on the charges previously outlined, while Gavi could receive 1 match for his own alleged conduct during the same confrontation. That contrast has turned what was already a heated disciplinary case into an even bigger debate over how FIFA applies its rules. And the fallout does not stop with individual players or coaches. The Argentine Football Association itself is reportedly facing scrutiny under multiple provisions of FIFA's disciplinary framework, with allegations connected to conduct across several matches during the tournament, rather than only the chaos following the final. Drop your take in the comments because I want to see how divided people are on this one. If you enjoyed the breakdown, like the video, share it with someone who follows international football, and subscribe to Matchio so you do not miss the next update when more details arrive. More football stories, controversies, and major developments are coming right here on Matchio. Peace.